So welcome, this is Core and Restore on Monday, February 22nd. I'm Laura, you, she, and her. Today we're using 3 to 4 blankets or pillows, a strap, a rolling pin if you have one, and a chair or a stool. And we're gonna start with the rolling pin if you have one. And if you don't have one, I'll show you what to do with your hands. So I'm gonna move some of these out of the way. If you've been in this class before, we've done this before, you use the rolling pin to roll out your quads, basically your quads and your lateral quads. So not directly on the side, but kind of in between the top and the side of your leg. And you get the pin like right up in there, lean your weight, and then roll towards your knee, and you don't want to go over the bone, and back up. And everybody has one. Yes, a baseball bat is perfect. Awesome. Yeah, so a baseball bat, a rolling pin. I've seen people use like a wine bottle. Anything that's not going to break. Yeah, exactly. So you're just trying to kind of iron out these muscles, and you might find that it's helpful also to really roll the top of your leg. Sorry, mine's kind of squeaky. So these muscles that help to flex our hips, help to kind of bring our knees towards our chest, they can get really short and tight. And when they do that, when they get kind of locked in an on contracted position, it pulls the whole pelvis and spine out of alignment and makes it really hard to access the core. It compromises our core function. And so once you've done one leg, you can take a moment and just feel how your 2 legs feel, and then you can do the other side. And you might find that one side is tighter than the other, but we're really starting at that place, almost like if you were wearing jeans, like where you put your hand in your pocket. And the slower you go, the more effective this will be. You can always use the heel of your hand also if that feels better. And if you find places that feel like they need some extra attention, you can always hang out there and just breathe or kind of roll back and forth. You may want to make your way over the front of your thigh. I find that the area right up the very top of my quad tends to get real tight. If you're finding that it's kind of bumpy, you can kind of slow down and see if you can smooth out some of those bumps. That's just muscle tension if you find that you're kind of bumping along. And then when you're done with that side, you can put your rolling pin away. And move your chair out of the way. And we're going to use the blankets and pillows, whatever assortments of blankets and pillows we have, to set up in a restorative Balasana child's pose. It's a supported child's pose. So you're going to take your blankets and you're going to fold them up pretty short and pretty thick. So you're making like a short bolster with them. And I like to use usually 3 of mine to make this bolster. And so I'm stacking them on top of each other, pretty short, pretty thick. If you have pillows instead of blankets, you can kind of fold your pillows up and scrunch them up, and they'll make a nice padding, basically. So that you can sort of use them to make that bolster. And then the 4th blanket or pillow I like to use for under my head. So you sit in front of the blankets with your knees wide and your feet together, and you kind of pull the blankets up into the front of your pelvis and your belly. And then you bring your torso on top of the blanket. So it's really supporting your pelvis, your belly, your chest, and then you can bring your forehead onto the blanket or the pillow or whatever else you might have here. If you have a yoga block works really well for under the head for doing this. And then you can kind of get yourself organized however feels good for you. But the idea of the bolster is that it takes some pressure off the knees and the legs, and it gives you this extra support. And sometimes that the extra pressure of the blankets on the belly can feel really nice. It helps the back to really widen. And there shouldn't be anything pressing into your face. So your head is not on anything except for your forehead. And then your elbows can bend and your forearms can rest on the floor. We're just going to stay here. For a little bit, arriving. And so we can begin, as we always do, by feeling the places where our body's making contact with the earth and with the props. Really letting ourselves receive support of the ground. So we're yielding into gravity, surrendering. The weight of our body down into the ground. So there's no part of you that has to hold yourself up. Because you're being held here. And you might find that as you let go of some of the work of holding yourself up, and you let your full weight settle down and be supported, that there's actually a lightness that comes along with the heaviness here. And some of that might be the lightness of your breath. As there's more and more space for the breath to move in the body as the muscles let go. As the body starts to expand downward and outward, there is space to expand upward as well. And you can notice how your breath is really moving your body from the inside out, and especially how it's possible for your breath to expand your back body, your back and your sides. So from your skull all the way down to your tailbone, through each and every vertebra, all of the ribs, the lower back. Through the sides of the waist, from the armpits to the hips, up around the collarbones. That breath, that inhale can really expand you, massaging your body from the inside. And on your exhale, you can begin to lengthen your exhale now, experimenting with exhaling until you can't exhale anymore at all. You might even cough a little bit at the end of the exhalation. Feel how you get a full inhale in response to that complete exhale, and try it again, really exhaling all of your air until you can't exhale any more air at all. Exhaling, 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 exhaling. And then a deep full inhale to expand. And do that long, slow exhale again. Really completing the exhale, and feel how the low belly, that area between the belly button and the pubic bone, in between the hip points, starts to draw towards the spine and towards the head at the end of the exhalation. And you can do that again. Big inhale. And a long exhale, drawing the low belly in and up. So when we fully release, we actually find this deep inner strength in our core. You're going to do that 1 or 2 more times. For some of you, it might be useful to imagine like you're blowing out candles on a birthday cake, 100 candles, and you have to use one single breath to blow out all of those candles evenly. Last time, really feeling that low belly drawing towards the spine and towards the head. And you might even feel how your pelvic floor draws in and up as well. And then as you inhale, you'll press into your hands. When you'll make your way up to hands and knees. And we're actually going to find a child's pose again here, just briefly, and we're going to do a little vinyasa in our child's pose. And I think we did this in class on Friday, though I teach a couple classes, so I'm not sure. I definitely did this last week in one class. So you can come, if you need padding for your knees, you can bring your knees onto a blanket. If it's comfortable to have your legs together here, do. Otherwise, you can separate them apart. That's fine. You're going to come right back to your child's pose here with your forehead on the floor. If it doesn't touch the floor, put a blanket under it. Your elbows are bent and your palms are on the floor. And then as you exhale, you're going to press into your shins. Think about curling your tailbone towards your belly button, and you'll roll forward on your head. So we're coming to like a modified rabbit pose. And then as you inhale, you're going to push with your head, and that's going to bring your hips back down. So as you exhale, you push with your shins, you curl your imaginary tail towards your belly button, drawing your low belly in and up, rolling onto the top of your head, and then inhale, push with your head, the hips come back down. So we're going to do that a few more times. Warming up this connection of breath and movement, finding how the movement comes from our relationship to gravity and the earth. This rooting down, this yield and push then allows for a reach and a movement through space. Maybe one more time here. And then all the way back down. And then we'll come up to hands and knees here, and we'll start to find a cow and a cat. And if you need some support for your wrists, you can take one of your blankets, unfold it so you can make a long and skinny roll with it. And then bring the heels of your hands to the blanket so the fingers pour off. So there's just less bend in your wrists here. And then you'll start to find an inhale to find your cow pose, pulling your chest forward, reaching your pubic bone back, lots of space between your ribs and your hips. And then exhale, coming into a cat, thinking about curling your tail up into your belly button, really dropping your head, lots of space, lots of length from the edges of your collarbones, one edge to the other. Inhaling to your cow and exhaling to the cat. And you'll keep going on your own timing, breathing in whatever way Makes sense to you as long as you feel like you are coordinating breath and movement. Staying connected to the floor. Maybe one more. And then find a long neutral spine here. So that's a place where you feel like the back of your head, the back of your shoulders, the back of your pelvis are all in alignment, kind of parallel. Take an inhale, and as you exhale, try to get longer from the bottom of your ribs to the top of your hips. Nothing is really going to move, but you'll probably feel how your abdominals engage here. Then take another inhale, and as you exhale, you're going to look at your right hip and try to bring your right hip towards your right shoulder. So it's like a little side bend. And then inhale coming to center, and exhale going the other way, looking at your left hip, bringing your left hip towards your shoulder. And switching. So we're really trying to reach one hip away, pull one hip towards, and we look towards that hip. So if someone were to look at your spine from above, it would be making like a C shape to either side. Great. And then we're going to find a puppy pose. So you're going to leave your hips right above your knees. You can remove this blanket that was under your wrists if you had it there. Walk your hands forward and bring your forehead to the mat. If your forehead doesn't touch, you can bring a blanket under it if you want for a little more support. If it's comfortable for you to tuck your toes, you can. Take an inhale. As you exhale, press your hands into the mat and spin your armpits towards each other. Take another inhale. And as you exhale, send the tops of your thighs back away from your fingertips. You're getting a long stretch through the armpit area. Draw the front of your ribs up away from the floor a little bit. Take a big inhale. Long exhale. Draw that low belly in and up. Another big inhale. Strong arms. Exhaling right from the belly. One more time. Big inhale. Long exhale. And then as you inhale, walk your hands all the way back up again. We're going to do a little more work on hands and knees here to do some twisting and some side bending. Let's start with the twisting. So you can bring your hands back to that rolled up blanket if you liked having it under your wrists. Otherwise, hands are fine, fists are fine, whatever you need to do. So you're going to inhale, and as you exhale, push into one arm, turn your chest, and reach your fingertips away from your sternum. And then as you exhale, you're going to slide that arm underneath, and we're not going to stay down. We're just coming into a twist briefly. And then inhale, pushing into the arm to open again. Exhaling, threading the arm underneath. 2 more times like this, following your breath. Each inhale expands the back body. Each exhale really connects to that deep inner core. And the next time you thread your arm underneath, you're going to stay there. You can plant your fingertips kind of in front of your face on the floor in front of you, so your elbows pointing up. Take an inhale. And as you exhale, connect to your belly again. Think about hugging your legs a little bit towards each other as you spin your chest towards the ceiling. One more inhale. One more exhale. And then inhale, come all the way back up. And we'll do the other side. So you come to that long neutral spine on hands and knees. Inhale, push into your other hand, twisting, opening the arm. Exhaling, threading it underneath. 3 more times. Letting the movement come from your connection to the ground. So not from a reach of the fingertips. The fingertips are really following the body. That bottom arm leads you The rhythm of your breath dictates the rhythm of your movement. The exhale connects you to your belly. Once you've done about 4 of them, you can stay in that twist. Plant your fingertips in front of you. Take a big inhale. Exhale. Let the twist come from your belly. So the fingertips are just there for support. They're not there to help push your twist open. One more breath in. Long breath out. And then inhale. Come all the way back up. Take one cow pose. One cat pose. And then find a neutral spine one more time. You're going to inhale here. Without shifting your hips from side to side at all, exhale. Send your right leg back long. Tuck your toes on the mat. Take an inhale. Try to lift your back leg, but don't. Feel how your back glutes engage. And then maybe float your leg up. Maybe extend your left fingertips forward on the mat. Maybe float them up as well, palm facing your midline. Take a breath in and a breath out. And then bring that left hand back down. Bring your toes back down. Turn your heel down and open up your body to the right, reaching your right hand up towards the ceiling. Take a moment here to find your strength, find your connection to the floor. Think about your bottom hip reaching towards your back heel. So your straight leg or towards the back of your mat. And then you're going to inhale. As you exhale, really connect to your belly. You're going to float your right leg up an inch or two and then touch it down. Exhaling, floating it up. Inhaling it down. And you should feel your glute working and your core to stabilize you. And the more you think about your connection to the ground, as opposed to how high you can lift the leg, the easier it will be. So we're doing this sort of modified Ardha Chandrasana, but also just some hip strengthening. Great, one more time. Keep your foot on the floor now. Plant your foot on the floor, reach your top arm, turn your palm to face the front of your mat, and then reach your fingertips that direction, finding a big side stretch here. Turn your belly and your chest towards the ceiling. Front of the ribs are soft. One big inhale. Long exhale. Look at the floor. Take your top arm, reach it back behind you to trace a big circle, and then all the way down to the floor. You can take a cow and a cat, or you can do a child's pose, whatever feels better for you right now. We're going to do the other side, so I'm just going to turn around so that I can still see you. So inhale on hands and knees. Exhaling, without shifting your hips, send your left leg back long to a lunge. Inhale, try to lift the leg, but don't. Exhale, use that back glute to lift the back leg. Maybe reach the right fingertips forward. Maybe turn the palm to face the midline as you lift that arm up an inch or two. Big breath in. Long breath out. Lower the foot, lower the hand. Turn the heel down and open to the left now. Left arm up towards the ceiling. So take a minute to get organized. Reaching your right sitting bone towards your left heel. Turning your bottom ribs towards the ceiling. Take an inhale, and then as you exhale, using the muscles of your hip, float the leg up and down. Pubic bone is lifting gently towards the roof of your mouth as you do this, and you're still letting the breath initiate. Easy neck, easy jaw. And then keep that foot on the floor. Take your top hand, turn the palm to face the front of your mat. Take a big side stretch here. Big breath in, long breath out. Another big breath in. On your exhale, look at the floor. Take your top arm, reach it back and down and around. Come right back to hands and knees. If you have something under your wrist, now is a good time to let it go. We're moving into downward dog. You can tuck your toes and send your hips back towards your heels. Have your hands in front of you. And then see if you can lengthen your legs without rocking forward towards your hands. And then just do whatever you need to do in your dog pose for a few moments. So maybe that's treading the feet, bending one knee and then the opposite knee. Shaking the head no, nodding the head yes. Maybe it's a little bit of twisting. And then kind of center yourself here. See if you can find a place where you can settle a little bit in this pose. Soften your elbows just a tiny bit and hug them towards each other in front of you. Soften your knees. Think about the tops of your thighs lengthening away from your fingertips. As you inhale, push with your feet, come forward to a plank pose. Exhale, touch the knees to the mat. Inhale, lift the knees back up to plank. And exhale, coming to downward dog. So inhaling again, plank pose. Exhale, knees touch down lightly. Inhale, coming back to plank. Exhaling, downward dog. Do that 2 more times on your own breath. You can always keep your knees down the whole time. And you could do an imaginary lift of the knees, which is going to fire up the backs of the legs and the core in a similar way. The next time you're in your dog pose, you can stay there for 3 long breaths. Again, soften the knees so you can lift and widen the sitting bones. Fronts of the ankles are soft. You can imagine your heels falling towards the floor. They probably won't touch, that's fine. Soften the elbows just a little and hug them towards each other as if you're trying to hold a beach ball in front of your nose. One big inhale again. Long exhale. And then walk your hands back towards your feet until you come to Uttanasana, a forward fold. Have your knees the same width as your ankles. So however wide your feet are, that's how wide your knees are. Everybody can bend their knees. It doesn't matter how long your hamstrings are. Bending the knees, open space in the lower back. Imagine the shoulders falling towards the ears. Everything falling towards the floor. Big inhale. Long exhale. And then send your hips back as if you were trying to sit in a chair and walk your hands up your legs until you come to Utkatasana. chair pose. You can bring your hands to your hips here. Check in with your legs for a moment. Bring your knees way far forward, almost in front of your toes. Notice how your quads work when you do this. And then make your shins a little bit more vertical without gripping in the fronts of your ankles. So the shins are more vertical, but the ankles are soft. Big toe mounds are grounded. Send the hips back, and that should engage your glutes more. You can reach your arms straight forward and have them wider than your shoulders. Soften your shoulders a bit. Inhale. Exhale. Imagine like you were trying to drag your feet towards each other on the mat. Inhale and let that go. Exhale. Imagine trying to tear the mat in half, side to side with your feet. Inhale, let that go. Exhale. Hugging the legs towards each other. Inhale to release. Exhaling. Tearing the mat in half again. Inhale to release. Last time. Exhaling. Hugging the legs towards each other. Inhale to release. Exhale. As if you could tear the mat in half. Inhale to release. Exhale, pressing into the heels to come up. And then just give yourself a shake. You can stretch your jaw and your tongue. Finally getting warmer. It looks like Polly is too. Yeah, you can shake yourself out a little bit, reorganize yourself with your props and on your mat. And we're gonna grab the chair or the stool and just bring it to the front of our mats. Now is a great time to grab some water. If you have water, you need water. And again, if you're on a hard surface and you know you like to have padding for your knees, you might still want to have some padding here. So we're gonna start at the top of our mat, spacing our chair. My blanket a little bit. You're gonna inhale, float your arms out and up. As you exhale, stay here, root down into your legs. Draw your pubic bone up towards the roof of your mouth. You'll feel your tailbone tuck a little bit. You might even feel your glutes engage. See if you can keep that as you reach your sternum straight up for the ceiling. Arms stay in this wide V. Big inhale. Long exhale, bend your knees, fold forward, hands can come to the chair. As you inhale, shift your weight to your left leg, send your right leg back to a lunge. Inhale here. And as you exhale, curl your tail forward, like you're trying to curl your tail into your belly button to help you come all the way up to vertical in this high lunge here. So when we come up in that way, it just helps us find this really vertical pelvis. So think about your tailbone dropping, pubic bone drawing towards the roof of your mouth, both legs pressing firmly, strongly into the mat. Inhale your arms forward and up. And exhale, just clasp your hands to the back of your head and gently draw your chin towards your throat so you can see your elbows, but your shoulders are soft. And then as you inhale, bend your back knee towards the mat. And as you exhale, lengthen that leg. Inhale and bend your back knee. Exhale, lengthen that leg. Again, inhale, bending the back knee. Exhaling, lengthen the leg. And as you do this, see if you can do it without your pelvis tilting forward too much. So you still have that pubic bone drawing towards the roof of the mouth, and the back glute is what engages to lengthen the leg. One more time like this. And then bring your hands all the way forward to the chair. Take your back foot, bring it forward enough so that you can bring your back heel down. Your toes are going to be pointing towards like 2 o'clock. If there was a 12 up by the chair. And keep your hands on your stool here for a moment. Soften your front knee just a touch. Lift and spread your toes. Press firmly into the mound of your big toe and reach your left hip back towards your right heel. That's going to really lengthen the back of your left leg. Lower your toes. Come up onto your fingertips. As you inhale, pull your heart forward and reach your hips back. And as you exhale, maybe lower down a little bit more. Only so far as you can go, keeping length in your spine. So if you bring your chest down and your lower back starts to round, come back up until you can find a long spine. Big inhale. Long exhale, really strong in the legs. Another big inhale. Long exhale. Last time, big inhale. Long exhale. Walk your hands back up. And then take your back foot, bring it in line with your front foot, front to back, so your heels are in line. So you've just moved your back foot over a little bit so your heels are in line. Keep your left hand on the chair and open into triangle pose, Trikonasana. Externally rotate both thighs. Press into your feet like you're trying to tear the mat in half. Turn your belly button towards the ceiling. Big breath in. Long breath out. If you want more challenge, take your bottom hand off the chair, reach it towards the front of your mat. Big breath in. Long breath out. One more time, big breath in. Long breath out. Press into both feet. Come all the way up. Hands to your hips, just step back forward in front of your chair. I'm going to move my chair so I can see you for the second side. So I lied, you don't actually need padding for your knees for this. I'm going to stand right in front of the chair. Inhale your arms out and up. Exhale, bend your knees. Fold forward over the chair. Shift your weight into your right leg now. Send your left leg back long to a lunge. Take an inhale. And as you exhale, start to curl your tailbone forward like you're trying to curl your imaginary tail into your belly button, and that's going to bring you all the way up to vertical. If you're feeling wobbly, separate your feet side to side. Square off your pelvis, front hip back, back hip forward. Drop your tail, pubic bone towards the roof of your mouth. Breathe, feel the floor. Reach your arms forward and up and bring your hands to the back of your head. Draw your chin slightly towards your throat. Relax your shoulders. Make sure you can see your elbows. And then as you inhale, bend your back knee towards the earth. Exhale, engage your back glute to lengthen your back leg. Inhaling to bend. Exhaling to extend. And it might not extend all the way, and that's okay. So more important than getting a straight leg is having that integrity of connection where the pelvis is evenly facing forward, but it's not tipping forward. So the pubic bone keeps drawing upwards. Maybe one more time like this. And then bring your hands forward to the chair. Take your back foot and scooch it forward enough so that you can bring your heel down with your toes pointing towards like 10 o'clock. Soften your front knee a little bit. Lift and spread your front toes. Ground into the mound of your big toe, the ball of your big toe. Keep that and bring your right hip, reach your right hip towards your left heel. Then lower your toes. Bring yourself onto your fingertips. Inhale and reach your chest away from your hips. And then maybe lengthen forward a bit more. Again, being mindful of what's happening in the lower back. So not lowering farther than you can without rounding the low back. So we want to keep the low back nice and flat here. So you could like balance a coffee cup right on your sacrum. Take 2 more breaths here. Inhales that fill the back body. Exhales right out from the low belly. Drawing it towards the spine and towards the head. And then take your back foot and just scooch it over to the right a little bit so your heels are in line, one heel in line with the other. Come up onto your right hand, and as you exhale, open into Trikonasana, triangle pose. Externally rotate both thighs. Turn your belly towards the ceiling. Inhale. Long exhale. Again, inhale. Exhale. If you want more challenge for your abdominals, lift your bottom arm up. Reach it forward. Big inhale. Another exhale. One more time. Big inhale. Long exhale. Push into both feet. Drop the arms, come all the way up. And then we're gonna step into a goddess pose. So you're gonna open your toes wide, your heels pointing in. And just take a second to feel your feet here. Feel what's happening in your knees. There's a tendency for a lot of us here to lock the knees. So just gently unlock them and think about your inner thighs spinning forward. So as if you could sort of take your hands on your thighs, you're externally rotating them. You could even maybe do that with your hands. And that's going to engage the backs of your hips, but it's also going to really protect the knee joint because you want to make sure that when you bend your knees are going directly over your toes. So we're going to do this as a vinyasa, and then we're going to hold it. So you're going to inhale, bend your knees and bring your arms to a cactus position or goal post. And then exhale, standing up. And notice if when you do this, you're sort of spilling forward. This is an exaggeration, right? But if that's happening, adjust your legs or maybe lean forward so that your spine can stay long. So you're not sticking your tail and your ribs out. Yeah, Christy, that's a good adjustment. Great. So we're gonna do that a few more times. Inhaling down. Exhaling up. So you want to feel like there's that line from pubic bone to roof of the mouth and it doesn't get stretched. So even if you need to kind of lean forward at your hips a little bit, that's fine, as long as the ribs don't pop out. Yeah, Polly. One or two more times like this. Keep the knees pressing open. Inhaling down, exhaling up, basically doing squats. And last time we're gonna stay. And if you want, you could bring your hands to the back of your head and sort of draw your chin towards your throat again, and that can kind of help to provide that sense of integrity from pubic bone to roof of mouth. Big inhale, long exhale. Keep the knees pressing open, big inhale, long exhale. Come all the way up to stand. Heel toe the feet in, shake the legs out, stretch the jaw, stretch the tongue. Great. We're going to do one more thing in standing before we come to the ground and do some work on the ground for the core and some stretching for the hips and the upper body. So you're going to come to face your chair one more time and do some balancing work. In warrior 3. So as you inhale, you can float your arms out and up. Exhale, bend your knees. Bring your hands onto the chair. Check in again with your legs. So we're in that sort of Utkatasana chair pose position with the knees directly above the ankles. We're trying not to let the knees come too far forward. Shift your weight into your right foot, as if you were going to lift your left foot off the floor, but don't lift it yet. Feel how your right glute engages. And then just as we did on hands and knees, slide your left toes back, keep them on the floor. Exhale and try to lift that left leg, but don't. Feel how your glute engages, your abdominals engage. Then using those muscles at the back of your pelvis, using the glute and the hamstrings, float the leg up. Coming to Virabhadrasana 3. Hug the legs towards each other. Reach that back thigh out of your pelvis, root down into your bottom heel. Think about your right hip reaching towards your back foot. Maybe your hands come off. And you bring your hands to your hips. Maybe not, maybe they stay there, maybe they're just light. One more breath in. One more breath out. Wherever you are, can you lower your back foot back to that chair pose and then stand all the way up. Shake yourself out a little bit. Send your right hip over to the right. Take your fist and just give it a like thump a few times. That's a lot of work for the hip. And then we'll do the other side. So you come to Tadasana. Feel your feet on the floor. Feel your breath in your back. Inhale your arms out and up. Exhale, bend your knees. Fold forward, touch the chair. Check in with your legs. Shins are vertical, so the knees aren't too far forward. You're reaching your left hip, especially back. Shift your weight into your left leg. Keeping your right foot light. Slide your right foot back, keeping the toes down. Try to lift the right leg, but don't. Feel the back of the leg engage. And then use that engagement to float the leg up. Keep your left hip reaching towards your back foot. Legs are hugging your midline as your right thigh reaches away. Maybe your hands come to your hip. Keep pressing into your front heel as if you were going to straighten your leg. But don't. Big breath in. Long breath out, Virabhadrasana 3. Lower your back foot down to meet your front foot. Press into your feet to come all the way up to stand. Bring your hands behind your head for a moment. Draw your chin slightly towards your throat. Soften your shoulders. Make sure you can see your elbows. Inhale. Exhale, imagine your weight pouring through the soles of your feet, down your tailbone. Draw your pubic bone slightly up. And then lift your chest up towards the ceiling. Take a big breath in here. And a long breath out. Come all the way back to Tadasana. Reach the arms up. Exhale, bend the knees, fold forward, bring the hands to the chair, and then step back to a child's pose. Knees can be together or wide, whatever feels better for you. Knees together is going to give your spine more of that rounded cat shape. Knees wide is going to give your spine more of that long neutral shape. They're both fine choices. Just be intentional about which one you're choosing. And then as you're ready, you're going to make your way to your back. Make sure that your props are nearby so that when we need them later, you're not having to scramble for them. So your blankets or pillows, your strap, if you have an eye pillow, have that nearby too. And if you know you like having some sort of pillow under your head, go ahead and put a pillow under your head. I recommend to get down to the floor so you're not compromising your core and your back, to lie on your side and then roll onto your back here. So you can start by bringing the knees into the chest one at a time and just rocking side to side. We did a lot of work for the hips in the beginning, the first part of class, first 2/3, 3/4 of class. And then we're going to do a little bit of mobilizing, stretching, and a little bit more core work. So holding the knees, one in each hand, fronts or backs of the knees. You're going to inhale and open the knees away from each other. Lengthen your arms so your legs move away from you. Exhale, bring your legs together and back towards your body. So it's a circle, inhaling them apart and away, exhaling together and towards. And the important thing here, more than when you're inhaling and when you're exhaling or the exact pathway of the legs, is that the legs are heavy, almost limp, and the arms are doing the work. And that's going to really let those muscles around the pelvis, where the legs and the pelvis meet, start to release. And then reverse those circles. So you're moving the legs away and apart, and then towards you and together. Keeping the lower back really wide and heavy on the floor. Great, and then bring the knees in again. Open the knees apart with the feet together. Reach inside your legs and hold on to the inner thighs right behind the knees, or the calves, or the ankles, or the feet. So somewhere on the legs. And then keep your knees moving towards your armpits. Open the soles of your feet towards the ceiling. On a long exhale, reach your pubic bone away from you now. And then find that push of the legs into the arms, the push of the arms into the legs. Maybe start to rock a little side to side. Thinking about keeping lots of space in the sides of the waist and in the back as you rock here in this happy baby. And then gently let that go. Keep the knees in towards the chest. And you should feel here like your lower back now is really wide on the floor and really connected to the floor. You're going to bring your hands down to the floor beside you with your palms facing down. Take an inhale. As you exhale, draw your low belly in and up away from your thighs. And just untuck your pelvis. So just move your pubic bone away from you an inch or two until you feel like you're in a neutral spine now. So your lower back isn't pressed into the mat anymore. And feel how, when you do that, your abdominals really have to engage to keep the legs there. And then bring your knees back into your chest, round your pelvis. So now you're in this tuck. Your pubic bone is moving towards your nose. I'm going to do that again. Inhale, exhale, engage the abdominals. Use that strength of the abdominals to untuck your pelvis and find a neutral spine. Stay here if you want, or also move your thighs so that they're vertical. Feel how the abdominals have to work even more. Stay here if you want, or bring your shins parallel to the floor. Feel how the abdominals have to work even more. Wherever you are, take a breath or two. And then bring the knees all the way back in towards the chest. So we're going to do that again. And you want to go to a point where you feel like you're still really using your abdominals. You're not using the fronts of your thighs, your hip flexors, or your lower back. We can do that 2 more times. Big inhale. Exhale. Belly draws away from your thighs. Untuck your pelvis. Maybe bring your thighs to vertical. Maybe bring your shins parallel to the mat. Maybe reach your arms up for the ceiling. Big breath in, long breath out. Bring the knees back in. We'll do it once more. Big inhale. Long exhale. Engage the abdominals away from the thighs. Untuck the pelvis. Maybe bring the thighs to vertical. Maybe bring the shins parallel to the floor. Maybe reach the arms up for the ceiling. Keep the abdominals working to stay here for 1 or 2 more breaths. Abdominals are not bulging up towards the ceiling or bearing down. They're drawing in and up. And then one at a time, lower the feet to the floor. Great. Bring your right knee in towards your chest now. Clasp your hands behind your thigh. Inhale, and as you exhale, extend your left leg on the mat, reaching your thigh away from you. On exhale, draw your low belly in and up. Push your right thigh into your hands to lengthen your arms. Reach your heel up towards the ceiling. Stay here. Take 3 really long, slow circles with your ankle as if you're trying to paint a circle on the ceiling with your toes. And then 3 circles the other way. Great, and then bring your right knee in, bend your left knee, cross your right knee over your left knee. So your legs are crossed at the knees now. Yeah, and your left foot's on the floor. You can open your arms out to the sides with your palms facing up. Lift your hips just an inch and shift them over to the right. And then let your knees fall all the way over to the left, coming into a twist. And if the right shoulder lifts off of the floor, take a blanket, a folded blanket, and put it underneath your knees to allow that right shoulder to relax. And find your breath here. On your next exhale, use your abdominals to help you roll back onto your back. Uncross your legs. Bring your left leg in now, clasping your hands behind your thigh. And extend your right leg long, flexing your foot. Inhale. As you exhale, press your thigh into your hands to lengthen your leg, heel reaching up towards the ceiling. And then 3 really slow, really full circles with the ankle, articulating through the feet. And 3 circles the other way. And then bend your right knee, put your foot on the floor, and press your left knee over your right. Open your arms out to the sides, lift your hips an inch and shift them off to the left. And then let your knees fall all the way over to the right side. And again, if your left shoulder is lifting up, you can uncross your legs or you can put a blanket under your knees or both. And find your breath here. On your next exhale, use your abdominals to help you come all the way back to your back. And then take a moment, either with the soles of the feet together and the knees wide, or the feet wide and the knees together, whichever is better for you. Taking a brief pause. You can let your hands be somewhere on the front of your body. And let your breath be easy here. And then we're going to use a really slow count of 10 to bring the knees back towards each other. Continuing to breathe the whole time and really letting the low belly help you. So this is if the legs are open. If the knees are together already, then you'll just take some deep breaths here. If the knees are open, long and slow, you're going to go 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then roll over onto one side. We're going to set up our blankets to help us do a supported bridge. You're going to make your blankets into a bolster again, a pretty thick bolster, the equivalent of a yoga block. If you have a yoga block, of course, you can just use one of those. Otherwise, blankets and towels. Make a pretty thick support. And then the way to get on this is really up to you. Some people like to lie on their backs, lift their hips and scoot it under. I like to do that when I have a block. I find that challenging with the blankets. Another thing you can do is you can sort of lie down beside it and get up onto it, which I think works pretty well. Some people like to sit on it and lie backwards, but I find that kind of awkward. And so once you're here, you can stay here if you want to. You could also lift your legs up to the ceiling. So we've really entered the restore portion of this class. And if your legs are up towards the ceiling, you might find that you have to adjust the placement of the blankets or the block. And you should be able to find a place where you feel like you don't have to use too much effort to keep your legs here. So for me, that's a spot where my knees are slightly bent and I feel like the weight of my legs is really sort of like falling into my pelvis in a way where it's balanced. And I can use my thumbs and my hip creases here and feel that these muscles are really soft. If they're not, you might want to massage them, or you might want to just bend your knees. Sometimes that helps. So wherever you need to be to keep the front of your hips soft, feel your lower back really wide, feel your ribs soft and falling towards the floor. And you can just imagine here all of that lymph fluid flowing from your toes, your feet, all the way down through your legs. And I'm sure that's not completely biologically accurate, but I do know that this position is really great for lymphatic drainage, and lymphatic drainage is important for immune function. We're just kind of helping the body recirculate, renew by flipping ourselves slightly upside down. Bringing some of that blood flow back towards the heart. And then you can bend your knees. Let your knees fold in towards your chest and slowly push whatever's under your hips out and away from you. So your spine kind of unfolds onto the ground. You move that stuff out of the way and roll to one side again. Just sit and find your chair. Your chair, your blankets, your strap. If you have an eye pillow. Now's a good time to put on any warm layers that you might have taken off. We're going to set up for a final restorative posture here with our legs on the chair. If there's anything else you need to do before our Shavasana, now is the time. So you're going to sit next to your chair. And if you have a strap, if you don't have a strap, that's fine. You don't need to use one. But if you have a strap, you're going to put it around your legs, around your thighs, pretty close to your knees, so that it keeps your thighs parallel, so that you can't open your knees past your hips. Basically, it's not necessarily squeezing them together, it's just keeping them parallel. And then you scooch pretty close to your chair. You lie down on your side and roll onto your back. And you should be able to get your calves up onto the chair relatively easily. And so this strap here, again, is just keeping the legs from flopping open, which can be nice. And you can kind of adjust yourself to where you feel like this feels supportive. It's going to depend on the structure of your body, the structure of your chair, how you're feeling today. I like to have something under my head, something small. I also like to take one of my blankets, one of my heavier blankets, and put it on my torso. I find it really soothing to have that weight there. You can take another blanket and put it over you if you're chilly. You kind of unfold it, flop it over your feet, over you. And then if you have something to cover your eyes, if you have an eye pillow, that's great. If you don't have one and you have another blanket or a shirt or something, you can take a blanket behind you and unfold it, and then just bring the edge like over your forehead and your eyes. And that can be really nice as well. So really take your time to get organized here, to get settled in a way that feels supportive for you. In a way that feels comfortable. And of course, if you get uncomfortable at any moment, you can always come out of this position. We're going to do a body scan here, and a body scan is not something that involves a lot of doing energy. It's really being energy, being with. So it's not a purposeful relaxation, although often relaxation is a result of a body scan, but it's more of a mindfulness exercise, which means we're bringing curiosity and compassion to whatever we're turning our attention to. And so you can start by, again, reminding yourself that you're being held by the earth and you don't have to hold yourself up. And if there are any parts of you that are holding themselves away from that support, you might just want to gently thank them for the hard work they're doing and let them know again that it's okay to rest. And then you can bring your attention to the top of your head. Just notice if there are any sensations there that you can feel. You can move your attention down the back of your skull where your head is making contact with the props, with the earth. And just notice. Maybe there's pressure, weight. Maybe there's the texture of whatever surface you're on against your scalp. Maybe vibration. Move your attention to your face, your forehead, eyebrows, your eyes, and your sockets. You can notice the sensations in your cheeks, your nose, your mouth, tongue and the jaw, the lips. Notice if you have any sensations inside or around the ears. Just noticing whatever you find, not trying to fix. Doesn't mean you have to love it, just means that you're letting it be, seeing it, curiosity and compassion. You can bring your attention to your neck and your throat, getting curious about whatever it is you might find there. And then down through your collarbones, the tops of your shoulders. And you can shift to your left shoulder now, the shoulder blade on the floor. Top of the shoulder socket, the armpit area. You can move your awareness down your upper arm on the left side. Noticing what you might feel in your elbow, your lower arm, your wrist, and then your hand. You might feel pulsing in your hand and your fingers. You might feel vibration. You might feel tension, weight, maybe lightness, maybe nothing at all. You come back up to your right shoulder blade, the shoulder girdle, the shoulder socket, armpit. Moving down your right arm, upper arm, the elbow, the lower arm, wrist, and then the hand. And noticing the sensations through the whole hand, all of the fingers, the front and the back of the hand. And then come back up to the upper torso, the chest, the upper back, the upper spine, the sternum, the ribs, the lungs, the heart. What do you feel? What do you sense? Temperature, pressure, weight, vibration, movement, stillness. You can move down through the area of your diaphragm, the mid-back, sides of the waist, around the belly button, and then down into the lumbar area of the lower back and the belly. Some of you might feel digestion happening, breath moving. And you can move that awareness into your pelvis, pelvic bones in the back of the body, the pelvic organs in the front. Noticing what you feel. Move your attention now into your left hip, the hip socket, the outer hip, the inner hip, all the way down around your left thigh, full surface of the thigh, front side, back, inside, outside, to the knee, down the lower leg, the shin and the calf, into the ankle, and into the foot. And then the other side, the right hip, the right thigh, through the knee, the lower leg, the ankle, and the right foot and toes. Noticing, getting curious, being compassionate with yourself, with what you find. And you can remind yourself that no matter what sensations are in your body right now, everything you've done in your practice is enough. And you can give yourself permission to rest here. And if you want to transition to a more traditional Shavasana, you can just gently loosen the strap around your legs. push the chair out of the way or push away from the chair. And lengthen your legs on the floor.
Receive a deep inhale and release a long exhale. Invite some energy back into your fingers and your toes. Maybe let your head roll from side to side. Once you're ready, you can bend your knees, roll all the way onto one side. In your legs and your head heavy, use your hands to help yourself up. Once you're seated, you can take an inhale to breathe in anything you'd like to carry with you, and an exhale to breathe out anything you'd like to set aside. Thank you so much for your practice.